Hello everyone, it's me, Anna. Let's back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Forspoken, a review that's probably long overdue and most people have already since moved on from or simply forgotten this game exists, but I still have to make a video on it because I played the fucking thing. And the reason why this review took so long is simply because this game is an absolute chore of a game to get through. From the gameplay, from the story, from just everything this game has to offer, the side quests, the open world. It is just one of the most infuriating games I have played in a long time. But let's get down to the gutter, which I guess by that lovely little intro of mine should be very obvious of my feelings of this game, which is that I don't like it. But not just like it, I just really hate it. It's like funny because I've played really stupid bad games or games that I haven't been fond of, but they still have like good moments or good beats or parts in it. But Forspoken is just a game where there isn't really anything good to talk about it. So I guess we'll talk about the main thing that everyone talks about is the writing. The writing is literally the definition of Marvel. Whoever wrote the story obviously fucked someone from Disney or Marvel or both when writing the script, because it is literally something you would think to hear in a Marvel Disney movie. They don't, it's just like they try to make this main character very goofy and over the top, but also very sarcastic, and it just doesn't work. The tone is all over the place, and she herself, Frey, is one of the most unlikable main characters I have seen in a long time. And I had watched Velma, so for me to already meet someone else that could level up to her is quite an accomplishment within itself. And I'm assuming the redemption was that she starts unlikable, throws a pity party, but then starts to become a hero and is strong and overcomes her trauma, her past, and then becomes a hero, which is an arc, that can work, but it doesn't for her because she just never has a moment of clarity. She never has a moment where she sees how wrong she was and grows from it. Because throughout the game, she's always in this pity party. She's always unnecessarily rude or sarcastic to the people trying to help her. And even tries to gatekeep some of her own trauma onto these people. And in this world that she finds herself in, she talks about how she doesn't care about the world, how she doesn't care if it burns or anything. But yet, at the end, says how she thought she could make this place her home when she never once acknowledged or had any moment where she was like, oh, this could be a home, because that's all I always wanted. Like, I cannot express how unlikable she really is. She is just very, very unlikable. And then the rest of the cast they behave very irrationally, they contradict themselves, and they get information wrong. They are either too bland or just too dumb and naive, and it's just, I don't know, it's not good. Frey is definitely the worst, but the other characters aren't exactly better themselves. And then the gameplay. Now, admittedly, this gameplay is similar to, it looks pretty, it looks good, but it's very repetitive and it doesn't feel good. Now, once again, I can bypass gameplay that is repetitive or there isn't much customization, like Sonic Frontiers or The Last of Us, even the Callisto Protocol in a way. But there still has to be some charm. It still needs to feel good. The enemies and the AIs, there needs to be some fun you can take with the battles. And I mean, for starters, my computer, and once again, I don't have the best of the best PC, but it's not a bad PC either. And even on the lowest graphics settings, it still ran very poorly during the fight scenes where things would stutter and freeze up. The AI, it's just dumb. The gameplay was repetitive, but it also didn't help that the AIs were dumb. And even in the one video that I posted of me playing Forspoken, is that I showed how the enemies were really easy. And while after I stopped recording, I kept playing, I tried to change the difficulty to make it harder, but you actually can't change the difficulty. At least I don't think in the mission. I didn't try in the open world because at this point I found out it was pointless, because even on the hard mode of the hardest difficulty, the AIs are still dumb. They're just buffier. So there is no real challenge. There's no real change. I didn't die once in Forspoken at all. And it's just like, whoever made the AI, they are some imbecile that doesn't deserve to have a job making AI programming, because these are some of the most dumbest enemies ever. They stand still and they repeat the same 3-4 set moves over and over again, and they just stand there while you shoot at them. There's just no real challenge throughout the entire game at all. And it's also very forgiving, because there are times where I felt like I should have died or I should have been hit that I didn't, even though I feel like I should have. So the gameplay is very repetitive. The AIs are really dumb. You're playing such an unlikable character. And then you are put into, you will have to save all these other people that are just as bland and dumb. And then the open world itself, it's empty, which is my always biggest fear with open world games these days, is that it is empty. There's hardly anything to look at. There's hardly any enemies around, and you're traveling very long distance in real time. You're just going through miles and miles in this open world, and it's just so dead. So it's not even pretty. Like, the graphics are fine when my PC can run it. It looks fine, but it's just empty, so you really don't care. And the side missions are you don't really gain a lot. Like, there are movesets that you can customize, you can add, but with the AI being so dumb and the gameplay not feeling that great, it's just very chore. It just turns into a chore, and you just don't care enough to play it. You just don't. And that's the problem with this game, is because that it's so bland, so unlikable, you just don't want to do it. Not to mention, this is a very story-based game. Most of the gameplay, like, until you get to, like, the open world, there's definitely more gameplay, but a lot of it is just cutscenes after cutscenes. And even when there's parts where there's dialogue, you are forced to stand and sit and just listen to dialogue, and the game will not let you move forward. You are stuck in this position, hearing all of this dialogue, which could have been a great chance to walk around and explore the world that you're in. It sounds to me how a game can get so many things wrong. And I can see where a lot of these ideas could have worked, but once again, the story is somehow more predictable and done before than the Callisto Protocol. The gameplay is somehow more repetitive and has dumber AIs than Sonic Frontiers, and the world is somehow more emptier than Gotham Knight and Saint Rose combined. Like, I feel like Gotham Knights their world was much more fulfilling, and somehow their character was somehow even more unlikable and just had cringy dialogue than Saint Rose. Like, it's so... I didn't like this game. I wouldn't... And then this is a game that was priced at $70. So this game is definitely not worth that. But the thing is that even if the game was cheaper, I wouldn't recommend this game either. This is a game I just say completely miss. There are so many other games that have done this style before, and it's done much better. Admittedly, when it comes to these reviews, sometimes I wonder if I'm a bit too nice. I definitely have thought heavily on, especially on the Callisto Protocol. I definitely think I rated that a little bit higher than I should have. But that's just because I probably enjoyed it a little bit more than most people did, because that's when I didn't play Dead Space. But, and even same thing with Gotham Knight. I wonder if I placed that game too high. But when it comes to Forspoken, I don't ever have to doubt this, because this is a scoring I don't think will ever change, because I never plan on looking back at it. This is a game I do not recommend at all. Literally at all. Because there's nothing for me to really take from it. I did not enjoy it. There wasn't any real moment where I was like, yes, finally, we're getting somewhere. Because there's just nothing good about it. And I'm pretty sure I'm missing a lot of other good points of what's wrong with this game. But it's just at this point, I just don't care. And that's the worst thing a game can do. It's just make me not care. Forspoken is a game I will just want to forget because it's just nothing good from it. So I'm giving this a bad boy. I'm giving Forspoken, I'm giving it a 3 out of 10. And those 3 points are for the visuals, pretty much. And the voice acting. Because even though the writing and the characters are awful, the voice acting was actually pretty good. Actually, the Cuff. The Cuff was the only character I liked. And then the plot twister at the end was so stupid. There's a stupid plot twister. I'm not going to spoil it, even though I don't really even care. I don't recommend playing the game, but the Cuff was the only good character, and I hated how they ended up treating him, because he was, like, literally the only good character that I actually liked. That's about it. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. I post videos as often as I can. I know this review is probably pointless, but I suffered through the fucking thing, so I might as well vent and get it all out of me and find some use for it. So, yeah. And as always, till next time, bye-bye.